This isn't what I needed to do.
Oh, well, we live on YouTube now.
Do you have YouTube pulled up?
No, I don't have it put up. It says webinar is now streaming live on YouTube.
Okay. This isn't what I needed to do.
Oh,
Before we get started here, can someone on our team please check and make sure that we're all in the public YouTube?
can't see it.
No, we are not. We're in a different YouTube. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Y'all, I need.
No, Kim, we are.
Oh, we're here?
I just clicked it, yeah.
We're
I
at the
just
link.
clicked it
Okay.
at the top.
All right.
But it says only one person's watching. I just gotta make sure.
Can't see it.
No, we are not.
We're not.
We're in a different YouTube.
Well, because it went to your
Oh my
YouTube
gosh.
It went to your YouTube channel.
All
It went to
right.
your YouTube channel.
Y'all, I need.
No, Kim, we are.
Oh, we're here?
I just clicked it, yeah.
We're
I
at
just
the link.
clicked it at
Okay.
the top.
All right.
Oh, what happened?
I'm here. I just need to double check and confirm that we're in the right place.
It said someone said they can hear us but not see us.
Am I in? Okay. But it can only show the person talking. Okay. All right. See, we are live. Are we
Are
not?
we live? Hello, everybody. We're good. Everybody's good.
We're good.
All right, let's do it. Let's kick it off. Light and love, everybody, light and love family, and welcome to the first annual For the Culture, Unpacking Religious Baggage. Finding freedom in your sexuality series. My name is C. Cozy. I go by she, they pronouns. And tonight, I'll be your moderator for this amazing discussion, fellowship, and spiritual encounter. I invite you to sit back, relax, grab a drink, grab something that may be green that you might need to roll up. If you do, we don't discriminate, do your thing. Grab a piece of paper and a pen, though, because the things that will be discussed tonight will be things that you want to remember and carry with you on this journey of healing and release. It is also important that I remind you that this is a safe space for all of us to truly be ourselves and to have the confidence that our vulnerability will not be used against us, but only used to bring issues to the light and take things that have been out of the dark for way too long. And without further ado, I know some of you have some wheels turning in your heads about what is For the Culture, right? So let me break it down for you real quick. For the Culture is on a mission to make thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Amen. For folks that God ain't made straight.
See,
See,
I hate to interrupt this. I still need some confirmation. I am getting reports that we may be the only ones having this conversation. So,
oh no,
I just need to know if this
was they're saying you have to go straight to the channel.
Okay, so that's not the same link.
Someone said that they're watching on the TV right now.
Okay, all right. Let's go.
Yeah, they said they just got to go to your YouTube channel.
Okay. Thank y'all so much. Listen, this is the first time that the culture is hosting a live event. And somehow I became the tech manager for this event today.
You said someone said they're watching.
The YouTube link that you received via email is not the YouTube link that I believe we are on right now. But the presence of the Lord is here. We are absolutely happy to be here. We have people going out to spread the gospel that this is the appropriate YouTube link. And now, see, if you could just get us in there from the beginning, let's get a fresh start. I'm happy to be here. Welcome to the culture. Let's get it.
It wouldn't be us if things didn't go as planned. But like I said, welcome everybody to the culture. This is the first annual, and I say first annual because there will be many more of this because we need it. Ain't that right, Kim?
Amen.
Amen to that. All right. So welcome to Unpacking Religious Baggage, Finding Freedom in Your Sexuality series. My name is C. Cozy again. I go by she, they pronouns. And tonight I'll be your moderator for this amazing discussion and fellowship, right? So I invite you to sit back and relax and to enjoy and unwind. Grab your drink, like I said, if you need a little, then you do what you gotta do, you know what I mean? Everybody got their own cup of tea. All right. But grab a piece of paper, grab some notes, because you will want to remember the things that are being stated tonight in this journey of healing and release. Is something that you definitely want to go back and look at. All right. It's important that I remind you again that this is a safe space. I know that some of us never experienced that, but tonight you will experience it if it is your first time. All right. So it's time to bring some issues to the light, right? Ain't that right?
Amen.
Amen. All right. So without further ado, let me explain to you what For the Culture is with a Q, not with the C, with the Q. Let me break it down. All right. For the Culture is on a mission to make thy kingdom come, thy will be done for folks that God ain't made straight. The group has affectionately referred to as heaven on earth for queer Black women and exists to be the love the church told us that we could never have. This amazing illustration of God's love and grace for us queers was founded by the great, the GOAT, the Holy Grail, Kim Daly Esquire. Come on. Snaps to that. You feel me? Kim Daly Esquire. Put some respect on her name. She, her pronouns, is a civil trial attorney and the founder of K&L Daily Law. Born and raised in H-Town, Kim grew up in the Black Baptist Church and was a Bible thumping, Bible verse chant for years and years, and spent her college years leading a campus ministry. And after 28, my Lord, 28 years of praying the gay away, Kim finally came out as a lesbian in 2018. Now, she, Kim Daly, through the culture with a Q, is on a mission to make that kingdom come. That will be done for folks that again, God ain't make straight.
Man.
Kim lives in Houston with her lovely wife, Dr. Shaquenta Richardson, and their lovely two dogs, Bishop and Deacon. It's only fitting to give them those names. Everybody, let's welcome our CEO, our founder of For the Culture with a Q, Kim Daly. Everybody. Yes.
Thank you, C. Thank you. I want to take a minute just to give you guys a warm welcome from the culture. Again, let not our technical difficulties be a reflection of our heart for you or a reflection of the good working wonder that God is doing in this space. As C said, the culture has been affectionately referred to as heaven on earth for queer Black women. And so while this is our kind of first introduction to y'all, we've been family, we've been rocking together for about a year and a half. And for whatever reason, see, I told you I came out in 2018. That's when I met Shaquenta. That's the significance.
Yeah.
2017.
Okay, 2017
is when I came out. But, you know, the big part of my story is that many of us, when we come out, we hit an intersection where people say you can either be gay and go on and live in your filthy little sin,
right,
or you can be holy and stay with God.
Yeah.
And I refuse to submit to those two options as the only options that the God of the entire universe created for me to live out who I am in relation to how I was created. And so ever since I've come out, I've been very intentional about maintaining my relationship with God, and the growth that I've experienced in my life has been absolutely phenomenal since then. This is a love that we are all deserving of and all entitled to. And my mission on this earth is to ensure that there is no queer child of God that feels cut off from the love that is God, even if they're just receiving it in the community of other queer Black women.
Got you. That was listen, if y'all ain't catch that, don't worry, you can rewind later because we're going to record. All right. Now, Kim, you think they're ready for the panelists? You think they
I think they're ready for the panelists. Yeah.
Let's do this. All right. Y'all heard from Reverend Kim. Y'all will understand later why she's Reverend Kim. She can spit out a sermon in a minute. Okay. All right. So first up, we have the great Miss Alexis Mitchell. Let's welcome Alexis in here. Let's see her lovely face. The beautiful
Yo, what up, what up, what
What's
up?
up, Lex? All right. So let's break it down for them. Let's tell them who you are, Lex. Can I do that for you real quick, Miss May?
Please, I mean, listen, I've never heard such wonderful intros and
Oh,
stuff.
yours about to be it. Watch
No,
this. Watch this. Watch what
let's
I do
do
for
it.
you. Watch what I do for you. All right. Miss Alexis Mitchell. She goes by she, her pronoun. She is from Sweet Home, Alabama. Y'all heard that accent? I know y'all heard it. Miss Alexis is an Alabama Southern Baptist, raised woman, now living freely in Atlanta, ATL. By trade, she is a family nurse practitioner that specializes in family health and sexual wellness. She is technically pansexual, but prefers to no label because she is truly just rolling with the punches, right? Rolling with the punches of your heart. Ain't that right, Lex?
Yo,
Lex is here to help spread the message that living in our true identities is the best way to honor God's exceptional creation of each of us. God is love, and queerness is no exception of that. Everybody, let's give snaps and claps to Miss Alexis Mitchell. Snaps, and let's give the claps. There we go. There we go. There we go. Miss Lex, what you want to say to the people?
yo, I'm delighted to be here. Like, thank you so much to Kim. Thank you so much to everybody for joining us on this Thursday evening. I always say you could literally be anywhere in the world, but you decided to be here with us, and we're so grateful that you just chose to do that tonight.
Listen, y'all hear that thing thick, boy. Listen, sweet home.
Listen, now wait, I always say, now when my voice goes, like, ratchetness ensues. Let's not do this tonight.
Listen. You can take the girl out of Alabama. You can't take Alabama out of the girl. You know what I'm saying?
I'm here to serve the saints and the ain'ts,
Oh,
okay?
come on with it.
it.
All right. Next up, we got Miss Joe. Everybody get ready for Miss Joe. Can we get Miss Joe on the line? Hallelujah. There she is. How you doing, JoJo?
What up? I'm good. How are you?
JoJo is her own. She's not from KC. She's just Joe. All right. You know what I'm saying? She's not herself with this. She's independent. All right. Joe goes by she, her pronouns, is a student pilot. Yes, you heard that right. Student pilot. And a bisexual woman who is married to the woman of her dreams. Let's get an amen to that. Joe was a church kid, specifically a PK. And if you don't know what that is, it is a preacher's kid. God bless you, Joe, who spent years hiding in the closet before coming out. Joe is here to remind you that you can live life abundantly and be unapologetic about the way God made you. Everybody snaps and claps for Miss Joe. You get the snaps and let me get the claps. Thank you. Thank you. Miss Joe, tell us what you know.
I don't know much, but I know that's me. So just here to chat with my friends and see how the night goes.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, guys, it is an honor to be your moderator tonight, and we're gonna get to the getting. All right, let's get into it. All right.
Let's
so
get into
get
it.
started. I decided to, do a little bit of research, just a tad, about Christian queers and the epidemic that we are truly in right now, which is suicide, right? Amongst Black community, all the communities, but specifically now it's touching the LGBTQIA plus. Not just now, always has been, but it's definitely coming to the light more than ever. All right. It is a study by the Trevor Project that was in 2020 that found that 1 in 4 LGBTQ youth reported that religion was important or very important to them. However, youth who reported religion as important did not have reduced risk of attempting suicide. Of that study, 33% of Black youth reported religion as important, and 61% of youth received negative use of religion from their parents from coming out as LGBTQIA+, which put them at a higher risk of suicide attempts and success. Okay, that's pretty heavy. 61% is pretty high. All right. And another study of UCLA School of Law, Williams Institute in 2020 found that 70% of Black LGBT adults are religious, either moderately or highly religious, and over half at 54.1% of LGBT adults in the South are religious, including those who are moderately and highly religious. Now, it wasn't any findings about the correlation between that and suicide, but we can only imagine by the numbers of the youth what the numbers of the adults are. How you guys feel about that?
It tracks with our experiences, I think, growing up in the church, our own mental health journeys, and the teaching that we hear time and time again that is particularly, heinous in its application to queer people. And that's the notion that God requires us to die to ourselves to bring God glory. And so when we have mindsets and teachings, and when we teach self-sacrifice without bounds and without limits, even to the point of self-harm, it makes sense that these are the outcomes that we're seeing.
Anybody else want to touch on that before we get to the meat of the talk?
So like I never like to dominate a talk with like suicide, but suicide definitely just has a special place just in my life. It's affected my family like directly. My father actually died of suicide. So the effects just go so deeply. But like as you're trying to like figure out yourself, figure out your family, figure out your identities and things like that, it doesn't help that if everything that I'm receiving from the thing that I know that's supposed to love me, also condemning me too. I feel like in a place where I'm supposed to always have a place to go and I still can't go to that place, it can get really dark, and it can get really dark fast. A lot of people succumb to suicide because they literally feel like they have no other option. Of course, we know that that's not true, but in those moments, are you truly being rational? And what is rationality if that's your actual reality? So we got to do more.
Right.
Talk save lives.
And this is definitely important that we touched on that. This is, again, a safe space for us to be vulnerable enough to discuss these things. And this is a great start for our community, not just the queer community, but the Black queer community and the Black queer Christian community to be able to have a space where we can have these conversations, because it's very taboo in our community just in general. So thank you, Kim, again for creating this space, and let's get it cracking. Let's do it. Jump into it. And as you all know, like in church, this program is subject to change based on the flow of the conversation. All right. So Joe, let's get the first question started with you. All right. How has being raised in the faith-based community affected your journey of accepting your sexuality?
Well, it was pretty tough because I grew up, so my dad's pastor, Kojic, if you're not familiar with that,
I'm Pentecostal, I get it. I was raised, I'm not, but I was raised Pentecostal, so I get it.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of stuff that I learned growing up that I believed wholeheartedly. And then when I started kind of realizing, it started with like, I started kind of realizing maybe I had these feelings, but then I like pushed them way down for years, because then it was like, this is unnatural, you're not supposed to do this. My first kiss was with a girl. I didn't see anything wrong with it. And then just kind of being taught to love the sinner, hate the sin, and these people are going to hell, all this kind of stuff. And then some of these feelings just started like coming back up. And I had a lot of questions, and I really had to go and like unlearn a lot of harmful rhetoric. And that was hard work. That was a lot of hard work, because not only are you unlearning these things about like a group of people, now you're having to unlearn these things about yourself so that you can start that journey on learning, loving yourself and accepting that this is just part of who you are. And that, we can't say God doesn't make mistakes, but, oh, just kidding, not you, so it was a lot of work. I really don't know how else to say that. It's just a lot of work. I was telling everyone the other day, around the time when I really just started coming out and, being who I am and stuff, I was actually volunteering with the Trevor Project. So a lot of those conversations with those youth was triggering because I remember feeling like that, suicidal, or wondering if this is wrong, then there's nothing I can do to be right. It's hard, but I found some community. I found good community, and I'm here. I'm queer and I'm here.
Awesome. Kim, you want to touch on that?
Yeah, so growing up, the very first time I realized that I liked girls, I was 12 years old. And I was in the 6th grade. And like we said, your girl was a Bible verse champion. I went to a private evangelical Christian school, baby. I was raised on Focus on the Family and like Brio magazine. So I was there with the white evangelical Christianity. Had the Black Baptist and the white evangelical. I was raised to be a radical. So here I am, 12 years old, really getting a feel of, oh, wow, this physiological reaction is something that tends to only happen when I'm in the presence of other girls. What does this mean? And I remember there was an episode of Moesha back in the day. And I think that Miles, Moesha's younger brother, was trying to get the definition of what a thespian was. But I don't know if I'm misremembering or telling myself a different story, but I remember from that episode hearing the word lesbian or being curious about the word lesbian. And so I kind of had an understanding of this feeling that I have, that might mean that I am a lesbian. So I went to my Salty Psalms Bible, either that or the NIV Adventure Bible. I don't know which one I had that year. And I flipped to the back and I was like, lesbian. Nothing's there. Great. I can go to heaven and praise with the rest of them. But then I was like, oh, we've been learning about synonyms in school. And let me see gay. Okay, well, that's for men. Okay, and I'm a woman. So then I flipped to the part that said homosexual. And I was like, wow, so you mean to tell me that I will go to hell if I ever react on any of this? And I didn't want to go to hell. I didn't want to disappoint God. The way that my relationship with God was formed was equal parts like the, invisible, the prayers, the crying out, the relationship, and also the church doctrine. And so I didn't want to piss off the God who loves me so much. And then the church told me that I was going to hell. And so I just pushed it away. When girls are supposed to like boys, and so I'm going to like boys. You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that I didn't like doing growing up, but I literally felt like I had to do them. And so I did. And dating boys or dating guys, that was part of this is what you do in this country, in this family, in this religion. Finally, after being very upfront, because I was gay, but I had never been with a woman. And I remember when Jackie Hill Perry first came out with the ex-homosexual shirts back in like 2006, 2007, if you was rocking back then. I wanted to get
early, Kim. You started early.
It was, and I wanted my I wanted my ex-homosexual shirt, y'all. But look, I thought it would be sin to represent myself as an ex-homosexual when I had not been an actual homosexual. So that was I was, Lord help me to hold out until I turned 28. And I got to the point in life where I recognized this is not going to work. I can't date men because I'm supposed to.
Reverend Kim, you tapping into like 5 different questions
right now. I got you. So how did it affect? It affected everything because it held me back and it taught me that I had to betray myself in order to please God, which I later found out was the biggest lie of all time.
Now, y'all don't mind me cutting Kim off because don't think I'm being rude.
I need help, y'all.
About this before we started. I said she is Reverend Kim for a reason. Kim is about to mess up the whole program right now.
Go ahead, see.
So go ahead, Lex. You want to add to that?
So I think she rolled it into like the
Yeah.
second part. So, like just, I mean, if I could just roll with you into the second part, because my story was like completely different, right? And so mine was from like a lens of it just didn't even occur. Okay. I do remember like my earliest experience at liking girls happened like maybe like around 4. Okay. But I'm 4. Like, you know, you're not that smart at 4. And so I was caught by an aunt. Okay. And of course, said aunt told my mother. Right. And so I remember just getting sat down. And not that same day, but it was like the next day. And literally the conversation was, you just don't do that. Like girls just don't do that with other girls, right? And so me, who is an internalized like perfectionist and who is a people pleaser, and I'm still working on that to this day, was just like, oh, okay. Because like my mom, I don't question my mom, just like you're not supposed to question God, right? And then if I go to my area of reference and the next person that I'm checking in with is God, and God says it, well, mom has to be right. So, I mean, like I said, I'm pansexual. So I do still have feelings for men. So I'm like, all right, cool. We just roll into that. And that was just natural. But also, it's not like I was lying to myself because I just didn't know the extent, because I just didn't go there. And so I didn't identify with like the things on the screen. Like I have so many friends that identify with like Cleo from Set It Off. That was a little too rough for me, for my identity at the time. I didn't. So, and the boys that I had that were gay and that I knew that they were gay, I felt like they were like gay. I didn't consider myself gay. I didn't know anybody who was like normal level gay. And I damn sure didn't see anybody that was like normal level gay, like at church. So, you know, we're just going to do this thing. We're going to make the grades. We're going to, you know, get the boys. We're going to keep our body count low or non-existent. We're going to get married. We're going to have these kids. We're going to live this life.
It's very interesting that you touched on representation, because I think now looking back at the church, I think we can all say that it was definitely some representation of all types of level of queerness in the church. And I think the most popular people that, you know, are mentioned are the choir directors. The choir directors, right? So I think that was probably the most significant, looking back as an adult, representation of what a queer person was in the church. And that also goes back to say that queerness was kept quiet in the church based upon your gift that you were giving to the congregation, right? So a lot of churches may have known that if we tell, you know, Brother John to keep it on a hush too much, he might leave and go to another choir, mass choir, and lead the way for them. And then we out of a collection plate, you know? So representation is definitely a thing that I would say and agree with, as far as what was lacking as a young Christian and challenging the ideology of being gay. So was there any other struggles that you guys had as far as representation, or did you just have the standard? It was probably a musician that was kept a hush, or it was like the PK that, you know, PK is they're a little spicy. So they're a little spicy. So you had the representation, but I don't think we were able to name it then, but we can definitely name that now. So with that being said, what was the most detrimental church hurt trauma that you experienced that was kind of a turning point of you saying, okay, no more, this is it, I can't do this anymore? So what was that church hurt that helped you really choose you versus the church?
I'll take my 60 seconds. So I would say that I am very fortunate that of all of my years of church experience, I cannot point to one singular incident of church hurt with relation to my sexuality. It was all of the things that we've discussed here before. It was seeing something different about the choir director, literally, although I wasn't able to necessarily put words to that until I was older, at which point I knew whatever he was, you're not supposed to be. And like Alexis said, you know, jokingly, the term normal level gay, but you know, most of what I saw was, you know, pretty visibly gay, right? And like visibly different than what we were raised, the ways that we were raised to conform. And so having seen gayness tied to some fairly extreme presentations, I didn't even know, like I'm typically attracted to like femme women, which in my mind growing up, that was straight women. And so therefore I'm not even gay. I just like straight women because something's wrong with me. Like that is what my youthful understanding taught me. For me, it was the general teaching that we hear preached, even if it's just once or twice a year, or you hear your grandma or your aunt make a comment when they pass somebody at Walmart. Oh, that boy over there, he funny. Oh, that girl over there, she thinks she a man. And you just process these things and you begin to internalize these things over time. So the turning point for me wasn't these people done pissed me off for the last time, as much as it was what is within me is screaming and begging to be pulled out, to be revealed, to be lived. And I feel like I do not have a choice. I have pushed it down for so long. It is coming out. So God, whatever is happening to me, you better not leave me, okay? Because I didn't ask you time and time again to help me out. Help me out with this. Be here with me, even in this.
Awesome. That's a great answer. Joe, you have anything?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, for me, I didn't experience, you know, church hurt surrounding my sexuality per se until I feel maybe around my engagement, but I wasn't really going to church around that time. What I experienced, because again, my dad's a pastor in a Kojic church and very involved in our jurisdiction and stuff. I started seeing, you know, like as a kid who got bullied at school, I started seeing some of the same things I saw in my bullies in church people. And I just kind of started drifting away from that community because I just didn't want to be associated. The judgment, constant judgment, and I'm not, you know, innocent of it, but you know, just kind of seeing people be judged all the time for any little thing. People being described in certain ways, like just innocent things that are suddenly negative. He sings high. Like, okay, so he's a soprano. I wish I could. Like, why do you care? Just, you know, stuff, a lot of stuff like that. And then I guess the biggest thing I did mention earlier, when I got engaged, I didn't even get a chance to tell my parents about my engagement. I had come out to my parents a few months prior. My wife proposed to me the day after her birthday. I asked her if I could have, you know, I just came out to my parents, you know, they were okay with it, but like, I need a little bit of time to just kind of break this news to them so it's not a bunch of stuff at once. And, you know, she was like, okay. And then and it was during the pandemic, everything was. And so when I finally got a chance to fly home and visit them, I had a whole plan. I'm going to tell them about it. And they told me about my engagement because one of my friends, I guess, knew about it or saw it. She's friends with Denise on Instagram and saw it and told her mom. And her mom told, when I tell you the entire jurisdiction, the Northern Georgia Second Ecclesiastical Jurisdiction of the Church of God in Christ. And we all got messages, all of us. And I said, I'm never stepping foot in another church. And I haven't. And that was in 2020. And I'm happy. So, yeah.
Wow. Wow. Well, I commend you for being brave enough to come out to your parents. Because this whole idea of coming out thing is strange that we have to do that, because heteronormative, standards, you don't have to come out. It's so for us to have these moments that are honestly triggering, especially when we experience these types of moments and traumas and hurt, based on how we were raised in a religious space, is scary, right? So I commend all of you and everyone watching who had to endure something similar or something totally different in terms of coming out to your family, your friends, or being outed. So snaps and claps to you all for being brave to do that. So let's turn it up a notch. Let's just turn it up a little notch. All right. So we talked about the turning point, right? When did you decide to say me over anything? So when you came out to your family and to your folks, were you expecting a certain reaction? Or were you prepared for the negative reaction? Were you prepared to be disowned? And how did you navigate the possibilities of such? Like, how did you sit with yourself and think like, okay, they might disown me. Will I be okay with that? They may never talk to me again. Will I be okay with that? And with that thought, were you able to still choose yourself, or did you choose them? Because did you choose to live for self or live for other people? Because if you live for them, you were going to die. And obviously we're all alive and well. So you chose yourself. But what made you decide I'm going to do this, and whatever happens because it's me all day?
So I believe I got to a point. I do think that I'm lucky. And the reason why I say that I'm lucky, quote unquote, and not to dismiss or make fun or like not use the correct term of our like transgender like brothers and sisters, but I had the advantage of being able to quote unquote pass as heterosexual for so long, right? I could do that. I used to have like literal like complexes of, because I'm naturally like a tomboy, if you would, like for ease of term, right? But I still to this day have like complexes when I'm getting dressed about, is this too much like masculine stuff like being put together? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? I had been doing this performative thing literally my entire life. I made the grades. I went to the best schools. I got the degrees. I got the jobs. I got the husband. I got the house. I got the cars outside to prove it, right? And my turning point came when I was about to turn 30. And I had already like, quote unquote, like come out to like my now ex-husband. And like, he was like understanding or whatever for, other reasons. And my friend, like the funny part is that none of my friends, nobody was surprised, okay?
They're never surprised.
Nobody's ever surprised. The gag is nobody's ever surprised. Right. But the point happened when I was just ready to like risk it all, is because I literally had nothing else to lose, right? All of the shit that I just named that I had, I lost all of it within about 10 months, including like 2 immediate family members of mine. Mm-hmm. And I'm not gonna lie, in those moments, I truly thought God had betrayed me. Like I did it your way. I did it church's way. I've been a good servant. And because I'm a good servant, good servants get good things. I was doing Christianity wrong, right? I felt like if I did good shit, and you're supposed to get good shit out. When in reality, we are literally just living this life, and all we have is ourselves, and all we have is like our identity and how we show up in the world, right? You're not even what you do for a living. That's literally not your identity. You are literally just you. I didn't have anything else to lose All I had was me and my truth. And so I truly felt like I was being stripped down. And once I started building myself up and I started having actual real conversations with God, and I mean like cursing conversations with God, because me and God got to understand it like that.
Yeah. That's realness. That's
I can
realness.
be my true self with God, and me being my true self with God allowed me to be able to have the encouragement to be my true self with other people. My next biggest step was to be able to come out to my mother, who was, and I don't want to shade my mother in a way that my mother is an amazing woman. Okay. She was an amazing support system. I literally wanted to be her. Okay. But she is a perfectionist too. And I wanted to be just like her. And this was not showing up just like her. Like, so I just had to do it. I had to rip the Band-Aid off. And you know what? She fucking knew too. Like, and she named all of the friends, quote unquote, friends that I have been going to see. When I tell you, she like lined them up and like named them all, including Kim. She knew Kim. And I was just like, oh, all right. So whatever. So I'm like, I was pretending, quote unquote, for no reason. And so once my mom knew and once God already knew, I don't really think I cared who else knew.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pastor Kim.
So let me make sure I got the question, or else I'm gonna go, what? So the question was, when did I make the decision to choose me?
Yes.
So like I said before, I had been, and I'm talking about Exodus Christian Counseling, which is a Pray the Gay Away ministry, if you can call such a thing a ministry. Like I had literally sought paraprofessional help not being who I am and pushing that away. I was in group classes and I was like, you mean we just all in here gay at the same time? This is not helping anything for me right now. But I did a lot of work to try to suppress. And then the first decision that I came to was that living this straight life, like that for me is sin, because it's dishonest, it is unnatural, and the feeling that it has on my body doesn't sit right with me. And so I said, if I know one thing is for certain, is that I am not this. No matter what people tell me, I am not that. And then I said, well, let me consider celibacy, God, because I still want to live a life that is pleasing in your sight.
Woo!
And here's the thing. I can more easily give up sex than my Piscean ass can give up love. I am a romance. Like, give me.
Maybe it's my age, because you lost me there. It might be my age.
But hear me out. Because church focuses so much on the sexual part of sexuality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Like the church doesn't have a robust understanding of sexuality. They reduce everything to what is going on in between your legs.
Mhm.
And so as I'm trying to like ease into what is natural for me, I'm still over here like, oh, premarital. I had a lot. I still had a lot of other things to deal with. And I said, but what I'm hearing from the church is just liking a woman is sin. Just wanting to be with her is sin. Just finding her attractive. And I said, God, why would you do this? Why? I've asked you for 28 years to make me over again. How many times do we have that? Make me over again. Like, bro, I'm still gay. Come on, play a song again. Oh, everybody's gay. Okay. So I'm at this position of, why would you do this to me? God, if I sit here single for the rest of my life, how is that making anything better? How does that make you happy? Where do you get the glory from my misery? And why can I not live out the innate human desire to be in relation with another person just because me and that same person share the same gender. It's not clicking, God. And it wasn't clicking 10 years ago when I tried to explain it in Bible study. I was like, hey, y'all, this whole gay thing in the Bible, it actually makes no sense. And I don't actually know why God would ever call anybody to not be gay. But my position back then was God has never failed me, so I'm going to obey.
Come on, Pastor.
As I got older, I said, well, God has never failed me. These raggedy bammas at the church, they not God.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay? And this is giving failure. And so I am actually going to try, God, why don't I see what you have to say about this? Why don't I see what you want to do about this? Because everybody's telling me that if I'm gonna step on the crack, I'm gonna break my back. And would you believe I stepped on a crack and I ain't break no back? And I said, well, if they were lying about that, let's see what else is being lied about.
Because it's someone said in our chat that, if God didn't want us to be gay, he should have made women so fine. I mean,
Because why would he do that?
Because why would he do? Because
that?
I just sit back sometimes and I just look at my partner like, ain't no way he wanted me to be straight. And this woman right here look like this. There's no way. There's absolutely no way that the Lord would. When they said, Lord, have your way, he did in my life. The way, you know what I mean? So it's no way that, I'm sorry. It's impossible that out of all the mistakes, I was one of them because of what I choose or who I choose to love. There's no way that we are a mistake because, again, God doesn't make mistakes. So if you teach that and you preach that, how can you choose and decide which sin is greater than the other when all sin is equal, right? And then when we try to pick and point out terminology in the Bible in its original text before it was transformed and translated into hundreds and hundreds of different ways, homosexuality wasn't even a word back then. I don't think Moses even knew how to spell that.
And not only was it not a word, it was not a concept. I just want to add
it
that.
wasn't at all.
That there was no, and I used to think it was a weak argument. Oh my gosh, the Bible does not have any like loving, committed, same-sex people. I'm like, baby, I'm on Tinder right now. I am neither loving nor committed. So like that story is not going to work for me. But just, if we're talking about what was going on in ancient times, in these ancient cultures, it wasn't Kim and Shaquinta walking down the street holding hands. Like the sex acts that they were describing were literal acts of like dominance, violence, acts of pagan worship. The concept's not there. It's not there. There are a lot of concepts that have names in the Bible, like marriage, that have absolutely nothing to do with marriage as we define it or practice it today. So I did want to, just put a little pin there, because that's going to be a whole nother live that we got to have.
Joe, you want to touch on that?
Well, as far as the original question, because I can't ever add on to anything Kim says because she's so amazing. But I want to say that the point for me where I chose me was honestly, I was in this amazing partnership. I knew I loved her. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with this person. And she was telling me like, oh, that can't happen if you're in the closet. And I was like, what? And I knew that, but I was just so scared. I had gotten comfortable in the closet because it was a safe space for me. And I felt that coming out, being a PK, being Kojic, all that kind of stuff, I am still a femme. But like in church, that was something that I was known for, like how I appeared or whatever my appearance. And so the closet was like a safe haven for me and I wasn't ready to leave it. I also I was nervous about what that would do to the relationship I had with my parents. I have a very good relationship with them. And I felt that coming out would damage that. So when you asked, like, would you be prepared to, for any of the ramifications that came with coming out? I had to mentally prepare myself. I love my parents. I don't want, them to disown me or anything. I was just talking to my wife about this earlier today. So funny. But I was ready for that to happen. Did not want it to happen, but I was ready for it. It just so happens I am blessed and all that stuff. And my parents also knew, because they always know. In fact, when when my dad said, "Oh, I already knew that when I came out," and I was just sitting there with like my jaw scraping the ground, right? He said, "Is there anything else you want to tell me that you think I don't know?" And I was like, "Oh, I have a girlfriend." And he said, "Oh, we know about Denise." I was like, "Oh, okay." And then he said, "Well, since you're here, let the Lord use you and go make me some coffee, 2 creams, 1 sugar. Thank you." Like, that was my coming out experience with my dad. So, but I mean, I knew it was either going to be kind of okay or it was going to be awful. And so I really had to prepare myself for it to be awful. Am I ready to let go of my parents, go no contact with my parents? Yeah, unfortunately, I would have to be. So all that, paired with come out, or the relationship is just gonna stagnate right here. I just made a choice. And yeah.
Amazing, amazing. Miss Denise Smith Givens, that's my wife, y'all. She proud of you, Joe.
Oh God.
I'm like her. Look at my wife. And it's a few wives on here. Now, which wife is yours? But all right, that's amazing answers. We get a lot of interactions on the YouTube. So thank you guys for tuning in again and chiming in and giving your amen corners and hallelujahs. We appreciate it. Okay, so let's get to the discovering the journey of discovery, right? So you all realized who you were. You made a decision to choose yourself. Now, what was it like navigating through this new space? How did you build community? How did you make yourself comfortable? How did you know that this is truly it for you? Like, what was it that helped power you through the whole experience of transition? Go ahead, Kim. Start. Kim.
Listen, I just think every question you ask, I'm like, I could write a book about this. This is great. I'm not going to write.
That's the point.
I'm not even going to give. I'm going to give just an outline. So I want to pick up actually where Joe left off in conversation about coming out to my family, because I never expected my family to disown me. Like, there is a base level of love in the relationship where I knew they could be mad as hell, embarrassed as hell, pissed as hell, yelling as hell, cussing as hell, but they were never going to disown me. And I'm grateful that I was able to have at least that base confidence. At the same time, I was very ready. It was a matter of, am I going to give my life to these people who are content watching me suffer? Or am I going to do what I have to do for me? And if that means losing even my mom and my dad, I will miss them every single day of my free life, because I can no longer live under those chains.
Yeah.
And so that was a decision that I had to make. And when I made it, that like Alexa said, once I came out to God and came out to my parents, after that, I don't care what nobody got to say. And so coming out to God, I described that earlier, very much so. I cannot see how you get the glory from my suffering. And each day that I try to not be gay, my lung capacity shrinks, right? Like, my blood pressure rises. My body was having physiological reactions to trapping the energy of my actual self on the inside of me. And so when I came out, I said, God, you're going to be with me. You're going to be with me first off, because I spent 28 years being a good girl, avoiding fleeing from sin. Okay. And listen, Paul said, where sin abounds, grace abounds all the more. Well, I ain't been sinning. So I know I got a whole bunch of grace in that bucket. So I'm gonna bring it with me, and you're gonna show up as well.
Amazing.
But that initially coming to God and asking the questions. And when I heard God speak back at me, baby, say, I said, God, like, what is wrong with being gay? What am I doing here? And God said, there's nothing wrong with that, baby. I said, oh, now the voice that I've always understood to be God is just lying to me. Like, Satan, how did you very quickly take over that channel and say that what I am doing is okay? But let me tell you what did it for me. And we're going to welcome to the culture, because the very first time I ever experienced an orgasm with a woman, I said, oh my God.
And
Sure.
read that again.
They know what they doing. Like, we know what we doing. Like, we just know what we doing.
Does it come in
You know
other
what I'm saying?
colors?
Let me
I
talk
just
to
know what we
you
doing.
just for a second. Because
Like, there is a God. God is love, because that was love. That was lovely.
And then so that happened,
Mhm.
and I didn't feel shame.
Mm.
And I remember being like, waiting for it. It's not like I had never felt shame after having sex before. And I remember waiting for it. And the very next day, y'all, I woke up and I said with an open mouth, God, are you still there? God, have I become a reprobate? God, do I still know right from wrong? God, do I still love people? Like, I am expecting all of these things that grandma them told me, but I'm going to choose to do evil for the rest of my life. The devil's going to enter inside me. I'm going to be horrible. I was like, there was a woman last night. I'm alive. That's God. I'm good. I'm good. And then I had to go on the academic exercise of figuring out how the hell everybody read the Bible and told me that this was going to send me to hell. And that's obviously not what's happening. So now I got to go figure out the Bible. That was I had sex with a woman and I said, oh, yeah, that's it. That's natural. Yeah.
what's so funny about this story is that everybody thinks I'm literally playing when I have been liking men, having sex with men, married to a man, and was truly in love with this man. Let me not discount like my marriage. I don't want to do that or disrespect my marriage. That's not the truth. I also did not get divorced because I became gay. What happened was it was something that was happening concurrently, okay? And God was getting ready to move in my life. But when God showed up, when I kissed the girl for the first time, okay? And literally the first time I had sex with a woman, I remember walking to my car after this exchange and was like, is that how sex is supposed to feel? Woo! And this is not to discount men. This is not to discount my attraction to men or my attraction to people in general. That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I'm trying to say is, in a life that I had, I'm not sure if I knew who I was before I knew that I was gay. Understand that when I say that, because before that, all of my identity was attached to my mom. It was attached to my father. It was attached to what church wanted me to be, okay? Like even down to my hair color and my clothes. And like once I figured that out, now trust me, I panicked because not you being 28 and thinking that you got shit figured out and that everything is right. And now like, oh my God, what do I do now? I literally booked a therapy appointment the next week. So I'm like, we got to talk about this. What am I? Okay. And like just walking through that journey of literally, okay, I made a decision for everybody else, but Alexis, who are you? What do you want? Who are you beyond being a nurse practitioner? Who are you beyond this blonde hair that you have? who are you beyond like school? Who are you beyond this marriage? And once I started like breaking all those things down, and then God at the exact same time was naturally removing things from my life, and I literally got to just be who I was. Yo, I've never been closer to God once I found out exactly who I was in the eyes of God.
Ooh, I got chills. That just gave me a little bit of chills. Ooh, all right. Joe, did you get the answer? I'm sorry. That just threw me off. I gotta get myself together. That just kind of like
follow up with anything after Alexis.
that was a word.
Joe, don't do this. Let me see this lip move, girl.
Well, Joe, you want to start? You want to answer the next question first?
Sure.
All right. Don't put some little like, yeah, I want it. Come on, put some thing in your voice
I
now.
want the next question.
This red
All
lip
right.
color is popping, so I need to see.
It is. I mean, it really is. Okay, so what would you tell someone who just came out? They're deep in the church. What would be the advice that you give them in terms of their new becoming? What would you tell them to avoid, and what would you tell them to seek after?
I think that I'm remembering when I first came out, and if I could go back and redo some things, I definitely find a good community. I had some great community that I was part of online. And then I was a flight attendant, so I was surrounded by gays. So that was a default community. And community is it's like a good foundation for like building your confidence and walking in who you are. So I would definitely start with that. And then just go from there. As far as like what I feel like you should leave the keyboard warriors alone. And let me tell you how hard this is for me to say. Okay, because Kim and Alexis know. I am a clap back queen. My friends online, I used to actually get a little embarrassed. Some of them started calling me a drag queen because I would drag the shit out of people on, on the Book of Faces. And especially when I came out, even when I was still in the closet, I was about to come out and I was like newly just on fire for my gayness. And I was like, you shut up. You're going like, I was going back and forth with everybody as an ally, okay? And then it just kind of spilled over into, me being a queer woman. So if that's you, leave it alone, okay? Leave it to your ally friends. Don't even bother yourself. Just fill yourself with peace and knowing that you are really like coming into a new chapter in your life, because the grass really is greener on the other side once you get the courage to cross the street and go over there and realize I belong here. This is my house. And you start decorating it and getting things together and you get comfortable. Why do you want to invite strife into your new home? So that's me talking to, old 28, 29, 30. How old was I when I came out? I'm 35. I don't know how old I was, but however long ago that was, or quickly soon ago that was, whatever. I just don't do that. I feel like that is something that a lot of people, baby queers, can just kind of take away. I just believe that. Nothing wrong with dragging people. If that's your thing, do it. But I just feel like you will be more at peace in your new happy gay home without it. Yeah. Everyone's so quiet. No, I said
No, we're not quiet. First off,
not that. You did a good job.
you
friend.
said things that
All
needed
the
to be
things.
said.
Yeah, that was for you specifically. That was for you. That was your question. All right, this is the last one for everybody that I have for y'all. I always ask people this when I interview them. I asked Kim this before. But after experiencing what you experienced, the church hurt, the trauma, and everything else, what do you want to be remembered by? And what do you want your legacy to be? For the people that comes after you, for the people that didn't have that representation, what do you want to be remembered by? And what do you want your legacy to be?
I'll start, and I'm going to pick up where Joe left off, because Joe and I had similar energies with respect to arguing with people on the internet.
That's how we met.
Yeah. But what I needed personally, and everyone doesn't need this, but what I needed personally was to make sense of the Bible. I didn't want to do, because I used to be the Christian that would look at people, they'd be like, I'm spiritual, not religious. I'd be like, you just want to sin. Except I never said that out loud, right? Because people should get punched for saying things like that. And so I didn't say those things out loud, but I felt like I needed to be able to biblically justify the way that I lived with my family. And I can tell you, in the 6 years since I've come out, I have 45,000 different ways of approaching the Bible, of approaching particular scriptures within the Bible, of approaching God, of approaching religion. But none of those ways are the least bit effective on someone who is committed to believing that you are sin. And there are so many people who we have all previously been in community with, right? We are here for the most part because we are churched women who have been taught not to communicate with certain people because of how they live their life. And that puts us in a fairly isolated experience, so that when we come out in that same life, where do we have to go? I had an online community, and that was supportive, but physically, like, it was me and God. And God, you and I are going to have to figure this out the way that we figured everything else out, even if it means I have to separate my relationship with God from my relationship with the Bible.
Say that.
And that
one more time. Repeat that statement, because that's where I'm at in life. Repeat that statement.
I had to separate my relationship with God from my relationship with the Bible. Woo. We have reached a very dangerous point in society. And I say we've reached a very dangerous point as if all points of society that are heavily influenced by religion are not dangerous. But we've reached a point in society where someone can control your entire worldview based on their singular interpretation of a translated and or mistranslated text from a different culture in a different time. And that is not to say that there is no value in the Bible. There's value anywhere you look for it, but everything that is in the Bible isn't necessarily the word of God. And we are not built with the training to be able to discern between the two, because there are powerful institutions, patriarchy, capitalism, racism in this country that have caused us to interpret certain scriptures in certain ways to the detriment of ourselves. And so to answer your question of what do I want my legacy to be, someone who was not afraid to live out the gift that God put inside them, no matter what the church said about that gift. I want to be someone who, when we look at Galatians 5:1 and we see the scripture that it is for freedom that Christ has set us free, I want us to have an actual example of what that's like. Because if you get online on these wrong channels, there are people who will live in bondage and call it freedom. And that's crazy. I heard a Voltaire quote recently that I absolutely love. And Voltaire once said, if you can get people to believe absurdities, you can get them to commit atrocities. And what an absurdity it is to believe that we are created in God's image, and yet the way that we express our God-given personhood that is inclusive of our sexuality is then an affront back to that God because a woman chooses to be not with a man. We cannot let that be the gospel, because it's not. And so I want to be someone who lives in the promise of the gospel, who lives in freedom, and who shows what actual love looks like, and what it looks like to be sinned against, and what it looks like to just do the will of God for your life. And understanding that your sexuality, although it touches every aspect of our lives, it's not what the church has led us to believe it is. Like, bro, I'm just gay. Like all sins are equal. We can talk about that kind of crappy theology later. But I'm gay, and the sin in that is that it is not in alignment with someone else's understanding of what the Bible says. If that's the sin that I'm going to be convicted for, a difference of opinion, okay, got it.
Amazing, amazing. Miss Lex, what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want to be remembered as?
So, like, I think long and hard about this, but then I say fuck it, and then I just try to be this person every day, right? So what I'm gonna say that my legacy is being the person that I needed when I was a child, and every inch of that, right? And so I will, and I will continue, I do now, and I will continue to teach people how to be themselves, and not only be themselves, but to do it in a healthy way, right? And be a non-judgmental force. I literally tell people, I'm not gonna yak your yum. I don't care what you do and who you do it with. I can literally teach you how to do it healthily and safely to save yourself. I want people to know that they have to, and we have to stop condemning ourselves to the fact that we deserve some level of punishment for literally living in our truth. And I love when people try to like take things to like absurd extremes, like, oh, what does that mean that, you know, I can like commit murder, or I can like have sex with animals and shit like that. And I'm like, are you literally talking about a love that doesn't harm anybody?
Come
and
on.
You're talking about something that actually causes physical health and other things. Those are literally not in the same thing. So my legacy will always be, and I know that I'm living in my truth because of the work that I do every single day. I am dismantling the myth that you deserve anything bad because you are actually living and you have chosen to live in your truth. That's not true. However, I will speak to what we were talking about before. I do want, and I think all three of us, I actually didn't notice the theme until tonight. We all had the look of hiding ourselves until our adulthood, and we weren't living at home, and we, you know, didn't have to like deal with like being like put out. We literally didn't live there. And so I want to speak to people who are not necessarily in that situation. If you have to protect yourself, please by all means protect yourself, but actively make an escape plan for yourself. Give yourself a timeline, because you are continuing to kill yourself as long as you live in a situation that doesn't allow you to truly be your true full self.
Yeah.
My life and my love for life and my love for people is going to continue to help be that person, to help people be safe and help people be true.
Amazing, amazing. Snaps and claps, snaps and claps, snaps and claps. Beautiful, beautiful, ladies. All right. Rapid fire answers with this. All right, we got shoot them out. All right. All right. So in one line, Kim, one line, one line. What would be your message to the church? One line.
You don't want to ask me to answer.
Whee!
What would be one statement to the church?
Mind is exploding right now.
I can't be first. I gotta meditate on this.
Joe, go first.
Come on, Joe.
Okay.
One line now.
My message to the church would be The same thing they tell us, get right or go home. Get the fuck out. What Ari Lennox said. All
Yeah.
that.
Okay. Awesome.
I want to challenge the church, yo.
Come on.
I want to challenge the actual definition of agape love. If agape love is unconditional love, then why is my sexuality a condition? Like a condition, right? So my one line to the church is literally be exactly what you teach me about every Sunday. Be that person. Be the hands and feet of Christ. Christ loves me. You should too. No
Go
matter.
ahead, Joe. Get it, Joe. You go say something.
I said, but they won't. But they
Oh, did you over there about to start shouting?
And that's why the culture exists. Because
Yes.
we get in this space online until
Yes.
you get a brick and mortar or what have you. Stay tuned.
Okay. Nice. Kim.
All right. My single line is a question
Okay.
that sounds something to the effect of, what is the difference between you and Satan when every message that queer people receive from you is that living who they are is the definition of separating yourself from God? How do we, like, who needs Satan when the church is here to tell us that God doesn't love us?
Mm.
Because what I've learned is that we can't have a rational conversation with people who are committed to irrationality. And we can't have a conversation like about sexuality with people who have been preaching abstinence for 700 years. Like there is such the way church is run doesn't allow for the types of thinking that leads to freedom. And so what I've learned is when we try to have conversations that are actually logical, rational, and full of thought, the cognitive dissonance, it just swipes up everything. And you get a repeating cycle of, it doesn't matter, you are sin, you must repent. And I just want to know, what is the difference between you and Satan when you are actively making it your business to separate us from God?
My one line is just simply, if you can't hold your clergy accountable, don't talk to me. That's it. That's it. If you can't hold your clergy accountable, do not talk to me. We didn't seen it all. Like, I just don't bring it here. Because it doesn't stay on the pulpit. So just keep it. That's it. That's all. That's all I got. But we're gonna move on because I can go all day on that one. But
See, why don't you give us an update of where we are in the program so we can give people an idea how long we're gonna be hanging out?
So where we are is we're actually tapping into the Q&A. I'm just mixing it in at this point. I'm just mixing them all in. But this question is specifically for Miss JoJo, because she thinks she's slick not and try and answer certain questions. But Miss Jo, being a PK, this is from Instagram, but this is just gonna be yours. Do you struggle with feelings of guilt or conviction still?
No. No, I don't, because I'm happy. Those feelings, like, I had already got all those together, yanked all those by their edges and threw them out the window before I came out. So it's not something I think about. I'm still friends with, maybe not friends, but like, I'm still cordial with people that I grew up with in church. And I don't know. I don't have any, I have no regrets. I have zero regrets. There's no space in my life for regrets. And I don't feel guilty about anything. think I would feel guilty if I had been trying to figure this out and did not have, I don't want to say courage, because I know that from experience, that being in the closet is sometimes a necessity for safety. But if I didn't have what I needed to have to come out, and I just was basically leading my now wife in circles, and didn't give her what she needed, I would feel guilty about that. So it's funny, people want me to feel guilty about what, they think a book says, but not want to hold me accountable for actions that could be actually harmful. So nah, I don't feel guilty about nothing I'm doing right now. And people who want me to feel that way, oh well. Oh well.
All right, so this is gonna be one of the last questions. So this is for everybody. This is a question from our YouTube people, our YouTube family. Is it possible, I don't know who's it from, but is it possible for me to maintain my service and friendships in the church while being my authentic self?
I'll take a stab at that question. Anything is possible, period. That's absolutely possible. Possible and healthy are not synonyms. And I want to be, fairly clear with what I'm saying here. When I came out, everybody in my life was in church. I am a church kid. My community was church people. And so I still have those relationships. I still have a relationship with my parents. One of my closest friends still goes to church every Sunday. But even his theology is evolving to understand and re-examine the world that we live in. And so, no, I don't think that you can be in healthy community with anyone who believes that you are sin, or who believes that you need to repent or that you need to get right. That is not healthy energy to be around. But everybody in church doesn't believe that. And if you get an affirmative statement to that regard, then absolutely. And then I understand that there are some of our elders that they just try their best. And it's one thing to try your best, baby, God still loves you. What's my grandma says to me? God still loves you. God don't want you living in sin, but God still loves you. Okay, you my grandma and you love me, and I'm gonna let you say that. But if I go somewhere and Miss Betty every day is like, God don't want this for you, Miss Betty, get out the way. Miss Betty, don't ever talk to me again. Miss Betty, wherever you are, I swear I ain't finna be, because Miss Betty, you need to learn how to close your mouth. And so I think that every relationship needs boundaries that are grounded in love. And if the people in your church community can respect those boundaries, and you don't feel any sort of thing from them, then congratulations. But many times there's a lot of difficulty with maintaining the relationships with people. Part of coming out is an expansion of your mind, being transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so when you're still in community with people who have not been transformed by the renewing of their mind, that gets really difficult. And that is something that I think we've all experienced having to walk away from at different points. But it's not a close the door. If you went to this church, I'm never talking to you again. That's not necessary. But we do have to be mindful.
Lex, you got anything that you want to add before we give our final remarks?
I do echo like everything that Kim said, and I do want to like bring front like what somebody else said that I really appreciate is that possible and healthy are not synonyms, right? You can have these things and you can let these people like remain in your life. I mean, and that's great. I would choose to do so only if they are willing to walk with me in this healthy mindset, right? And so me choosing to live in my truth as a queer person, I don't even need you to agree with me because I don't need your approval. But what we're not going to do is like just actively be disrespectful, either like verbally, emotionally, subconsciously, passive aggressively, I'm not standing for that. And I think you have to be a steward of yourself and just know the company that you keep, but also just be mindful of the levels of relationship. I try to explain that to people. Everybody doesn't have to have the same level of access to you, right? So just like how we do it at work, like I feel like you can apply that to different like circles of your life. If you really love these people and you really love what you do at your church home, as long as they're not being disrespectful, then sure, they literally don't go home with you. And that's fine. And that's great. You can like do what you need to do and like go home. But I would only do it to a certain point if they're not willing to. There are so many places that's willing to accept 100% of you that I refuse to be places that allow me to only be 75% of myself.
I think just to piggyback on that before we close, I think the theme of tonight was definitely the lack of community for those who are queer and identify as Christian. And I'm thankful and grateful and full of gratitude for Kim for creating such a platform as this that creates the space and the community for those that are lacking it. This is a great start. I mean, we joke around about Kim being the pastor and the preacher, but Shorty can give a sermon and it's like amazing. So for the culture is definitely a space that was created with purpose, on purpose, purposefully. And this is the first of many that will give that community outlook that a lot of people are commenting that they need, or even us in general. With me, there's a little generation gap. I'm 26, so I know that it's a little different now for people in my age group because we have that community. And my story is different. I came out younger than you all, but it's a difference in being in the availability. Now with the millennials and the Generation Zs, we create that because we don't have it. And I think that the older generation, this is just my perspective, the older generation lacks it even more because they just never thought it could ever happen for them. And there's no one that can create that, and they're waiting for it to happen. And then we have people like Kim that makes it happen and doesn't want to wait anymore. So I definitely want to encourage you, Kim, to continue this. And I'm thankful that you allow me to be a part of the first of many. And thank you, Lex and Joe, for sharing your stories and being vulnerable just as you could be. Joe, we gonna get you because you was holding back, but it's okay. I'm gonna call you out because I ain't never scared.
What did I hold back on, baby? I thought I gave you everything.
We gonna talk after because you could have gave more, but it's fine.
I didn't want to take up all the time.
Right. Don't be hiding your light, girl. Shine bright like a diamond, like Riri said.
Hey.
But anyway, but we want to thank everybody for joining us and tuning in tonight. Kim, do you want to mention any upcoming projects?
I'm so sorry because I know you just called me out. I just want to call Kim out real quick because her birthday is in 2 days, y'all. Happy birthday. Happy early birthday to the founder of this amazing space and community.
Yeah.
So if you're in the comments, hit Kim with a happy birthday. We love you.
Absolutely. Light and love to you, Kim. OG.
I appreciate it. So y'all, check this out. We started the culture back in October of 2021, and we had our initial group of about 40 women that have been riding with me all the way to this point. Back in December, we started to change things up for sustainability purposes. And so this is our first live community event, and we plan on having several more of these virtually, in person. We have an entire roster of events coming up. So before we describe a little bit more, I want to give a shout out to Hazel. If you could, to the advisory committee, if you want to show your face, you're welcome to show your face. But Hazel, Chelsea, Jada, and Jordan, along with Alexis and Joe, have been phenomenal in helping the culture be a thing that can exist even when I'm not able to be there. And so we now have an online community that should be a new online community that should be launching within the next couple of days. We are waiting for the domain to finish being linked up with our little application. And so we're going to drop a Google form. Thank y'all for the birthday wish that I saw on YouTube. We're going to drop a Google form in the comments, as well as email that form out if you want to be part of the culture. The culture is heaven on earth for queer Black women. That is our internal community, but our spaces like this and community like this is open to absolutely everyone. And so we want to see you there. Listen, I'm gonna tell what everybody in the culture wants. More friends, okay? Single people want other single people to talk to. Career connections, life connections. We really do have conversations ranging from how do we make sense of Romans chapter 1 to how do I make sense of this strap if I've never had sex with a woman before using a toy. So like,
oh, wait a minute.
that's the range of the conversation.
It just went.
Yeah.
Oh, we can go there.
It was
Wait a
so
minute.
good. I learned so much.
You slid that in there quick.
Woman, thank you.
Yeah.
And, I'll bring the the young millennials and the Gen Zs out, because you need that energy. Keep y'all young.
It's a critical conversation. I'm gonna be real. So many of us, particularly those of us who come out later in life, we come out ill-equipped. Like, how do I ask a girl out? Do I just slide in her DMs? Yo, I showed up on my first date with a woman with flowers. And she looked at me like I was nuts. And I was like, oh, I thought, well, you date a woman, you should bring her flowers. Like, these are for you.
Right.
And so to be able to have conversations like that with other people. So that's what the culture is, y'all. And it is love, it's community, it's family. Like I said, we are working on our new website and all of that. I will let someone on the planning committee speak more about that, but join us. And thank you for being here. And thank you for putting up with these technical difficulties as well. Thank you again to the advisory committee. And let's get a round of applause for C, because if C could do one thing, it is moderate the living goodness out of the conversation. And we appreciate that for you. You are uniquely equipped in that way. And I am grateful to see how God still uses you.
All right. No, I appreciate it. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. All right. I don't like attention. So thanks. We're gonna exit stage left. We're gonna drop the mic. I'm surprised Kim ain't spit a little 1-2 step 16 bars, but we're gonna let her do that next time, because she'll probably start right away. So we're gonna say that for next time.
Because I'm about to say, y'all, listen, in 1941, I can go there, but we're good. We're good. We're good.
Love to everybody. We love you all. Be safe. Move with the love of the Lord. And go to bed. I know y'all.